Hey, welcome to this week's Ask Ninja at the brand new time of 4 p.m. on a Thursday. And we're going to be talking all about content this week. So working out different angles for, the information that you have around your business, working out different angles that you can take that information and put it on your blog or put it on other people's sites, get a bit of attention and get some rankings as well. Don't forget, if at any point you have a question around anything that we're covering or anything else to do with digital marketing, then just drop it in the comments and we'll get it answered. So let me know when people are logging on, come and say hello. If you've got any questions, stick them in and then we'll get cracking. So before we get started, I wanted to talk about the Exposure Ninja podcast, which has gone live today on iTunes. So you can head over to iTunes and just search for Exposure Ninja, or you can head over to Stitcher and search Exposure Ninja and you will see the podcast. There's 4 episodes up so far, so some stuff for you to be getting on with. Episode 1 is all about how to launch a new business. Episode 2 is all about SEO, giving a kind of broad basic overview of SEO, and then we'll go deeper into SEO topics in future episodes on the podcast. Episode 3 is all about blogging with Charlie from Digital PR, and that's the episode at the moment which is getting the most downloads, so Charlie's very happy about that. And episode 4 is all about lead generation and using the principles of lead generation on your website to get better engagement from your visitors. But today's Ask a Ninja is all about content, and particularly how we can kind of repurpose content and make it a bit more useful. And this all came from a question which Paul Edmondson asked, and he's a magician, a local magician, I think, who does weddings. And he said he's having trouble figuring out what sorts of things to talk about on his blog and on guest blogs. So local magician, but it could be any business. The same challenges always happen, right? People don't really know what to talk about on their blogs or in articles. They just end up talking about their business or talking about their products or services. So Paul asked bloggers with good articles, any ideas would be gratefully received. Okay, there are 4 questions, and if you answer these 4 questions, you will have enough blog topics to write about forever. And in fact, these 4 questions could also probably be 4 different books that you write for your audience. And each of these questions has loads and loads of little sub-questions. So each of these questions could probably get you maybe 50 different blog posts on the back of each of these. So we'll go through them in turn. The first question to ask is, what are all the questions that people have about your product or service? So there's so much there already, right? A few different ways that you can find out what questions people have about your product or service. Number 1, you can just straight up ask them. So next time someone walks into the shop or next time someone rings you, say, what questions would you have about my service? If somebody doesn't buy from you, ask them, do you mind me asking, what was it about this that you weren't sure about? If you have live chat on your website, then you'll often find that people ask you the questions through live chat, the things that you haven't communicated clearly on the site, and these are the things that are stopping them from engaging or stopping them from buying. So all of that stuff's really important. Anytime somebody has a question about your product or service, that makes a really good blog post topic. We were met with a client yesterday of ours, a client of about 3 years, and they sell training for schools, and they have a particular certification called Child Protection Level 3, I think. And we quite quickly identified, 5 different topics around this. What is Child Protection Level 3? Do I need this certification? How long does it take? How much, so many questions just about this one specific product. You could be selling anything. So I've just been talking to a guy on the phone who works for a website that sells garden sheds. So many questions about garden sheds that you could be asking. Each of those different questions could be a blog post. So how you do this, you figure out what the questions are, you write the questions as a headline, and then you smash through the most awesome answer possible about that question. So you give as much detail as you possibly can. By making that blog post as useful as you possibly can for that topic, you have a really good resource, because that can get ranking on Google for the the phrase in the question. So if you get the phrasing of the question right, actually can rank for that phrase, and it can rank pretty easily if you write a really good answer. But also, if somebody has that question, you've just written an amazing answer. So it can be a really good way to get some traffic and sales. So that's the first way of finding out what your audience's main questions are. Another good way is to search on forums. So have a look on, for us it would be digital marketing forums. For the shed guy it would be shed forums and home DIY forums. For the training course company it'd be an education forum. So have a look on these forums and see what sort of questions people are asking about your product or service. Another kind of tweak on this is to set up your own Facebook group and make a Facebook group for your target customers. Okay, so it could be the Garden Shed Owners Alliance, and then people can join this and then they can ask any questions, they can share interesting stuff, they can share tutorials, whatever. And the questions that they're going to be asking in that group to the other members, those are the questions that you can address in your blog posts. There's a tool that you can use as well, which can help you find the biggest questions people have about your topic. And the tool is called Answer the Public. I think DPI uses it. So Answer the Public, and I think that's maybe even a free tool as well. And that you can type in your topic or your subject area, and it will show you the questions that people have around that. We also use a tool called BuzzSumo, buzzsumo.com, which can help you find topics that are trending and content that's trending around a particular topic. So if you see that one article is doing really well about garden sheds, then you know that you can piggyback on that. What's the question that's been asked in that headline, or what are some of the questions that have been asked in the body of that? And then you can go and write really detailed and awesome blog posts about it. Yep, that's it. Thanks, Stacey. Another way to find out what questions people are asking about you is just to look at your competitors, right? So what questions are they answering? What questions are they answering? Do they have an FAQ section on the site? If they do, they've probably got one sentence answers to these FAQs. You might want to write a whole blog post about it, and then you get ranking and you just destroy them. So the first way to come up with cool content ideas for your blog is to answer the most common and most important questions that people have about your product or service. Cool, so that'll probably give you, I don't know, like 100 blog topics already. The second way to come up with cool blog topics, the second question that you can ask is, what's the core need that you're serving? And are there any other ways that you can help people satisfy that core need? So for the wedding magician, our guy Paul, the reason that people book a wedding magician is because they want an awesome wedding, right? They want a wedding that's a little bit different. They want something entertaining for their guests. So if that's the core need that you're serving, you can write content which helps them get to that. So it might be something like 5 unusual but awesome ways to make your wedding stand out. And one of those ways would be to hire a wedding magician. The benefit of that sort of angle is that's going to be something that you could reach out to publications and wedding magazines or whatever and get published, because that's something that's of real interest to people who are getting married. So that can be a cool angle, looking at what the core need is that you're serving and then delivering a piece of content which shows them your way of getting to that goal, but also other ways of getting to that goal as well. You could have affiliate links, or you could have partner links in there, whatever. One of our clients who's doing a good job of this is a company called Display Center, and they sell shop fitting equipment. And if you look on their blog, the sort of things that they're talking about are how to engage and how to motivate retail staff. So they've identified that retailers, this is their target audience. So the content that they're going to write is stuff which is really useful for that audience, that has the goal of making an awesome retail store. So that can be a good way to come up with some angles for content as well. So we've done 2 of the 4 questions. We've still got 2 questions left, and we've already got like 5 million blog post topics. The third question is, how can you get your audience a small result towards their ultimate goal without cannibalizing your main service? So another way of thinking about this is overcoming objections. And we often use like dating sites as an example here, because everybody kind of understands the concept of a dating site. So let's say that you run a dating site and you want to get more leads through awesome blog posts and writing content that's going to be shared on other sites. Well, what you could do is you could think about how can you give people the confidence to even go on a dating site, give them some information, whether it's like in-person dating or whether it's online, whatever. What can you do to give people something which is going to overcome an objection to get them closer to being ready to do that? So it might be 5 ways to make a really awesome first impression with online dating. So that's a cool piece of content which you could have, which isn't a direct pitch for your thing, but the result of going through that means that somebody now has the confidence to go on your thing. If you're doing like in-person dating service, it might be revealed 5 first impression hacks to get the woman or man that you want, whatever it is. Number 1, wear trousers. Number 2, make sure they're your trousers. So thinking about what sort of things your audience needs help with to even be able to buy from you. So that's the third question that you can ask. The last question that you can ask to come up with cool blog post topics are, what are the news stories and trends that your audience cares about? So this is all about current stuff. So you need to be working pretty real time to be able to piggyback on this stuff. Set up Google Alerts for any mention of your topic or the keywords around your market. Anytime something breaks, you can then figure out your angle on that, and then you can start reaching out to publications that publish stuff in this topic to give your angle and to give your take, so you can get some coverage for yourself. Now, obviously, there's also evergreen topics, which are kind of, ongoing things which last forever. So have a look on these websites, on these publications, and see what sort of stuff were they posting 6 months ago, what sort of stories were they covering 6 months ago, what sort of stories were they covering, say, a year ago, and what are the evergreen topics which they're always talking about. Can you offer a new angle on that? I see Rob Hayward just joined, so he's a video maker. They make commercial videos, and newfruit.co.uk, they make freaking awesome commercial videos. So he could go out to business publications, things like Business Insider, and say 5 ways to leave an awesome first impression on your website. And number 1 is going to be, hey, get a really good promotional video. So that sort of thing, by identifying the angle, that sort of thing, by identifying the angle that your audience is really interested in, you can get some killer content posted. Chris says, what are the key trends that you're seeing in article, blog post titles that are generating views and shares? Numbers, questions, impact words. That's a good question, Chris. Digital PR ninjas, chime in with some answers to that one. I mean, there's obviously a bunch of evergreen stuff. 5 ways to, 3 hacks to, tips and tricks, stuff like that. But I think some of that's getting pretty old now. It still works, and that kind of BuzzFeed link bait style still works, but I think it's getting pretty old now. So I think it's time that we're a bit more creative about it. Stacey says listicles. So a list is like 10 different software tools to make your SEO automated, or whatever. So an article which lists in relative detail. One thing I think is really interesting is this concept of fishbone posts. So you might write one massive post about something which is really super broad, and in a kind of listicle style, you'd have different components. So it might be, for the wedding magician, it might be, oh no, wedding magician's a bad example. Let's say for the education training company that we were talking to yesterday, an example of one of their fishbone posts might be how to make sure that your school is ridiculously well trained, or how to make sure that your school's completely compliant. And then in that listicle, they'll have different topics, and each of those different topics might link to or might refer to a different course. So you write a short post about that, and then you see what's getting the most interaction. What are people asking about? What are people talking about? If you're using heat mapping software, look at which of those components of that big article is getting the most engagement, getting the most highlights and clicks and stuff like that. And then you go away and you write a really detailed post giving much more detail on that topic. So what you start to do, the reason it's called a fishbone post, is you have your main content, and then you have all these smaller blog posts that come off it. And all of these smaller blog posts obviously link into this big one. So from an SEO perspective, you're trying to build the domain authority of this big fishbone post, and that's going to help everyone and help your entire website. So those are some angles I think about. If any other DPR ninjas have some wicked headlines that they've got pitched and they've had success with this week, then drop them in the thing. I'd love to see them. Somebody, I can't remember who, sorry, asked, I have some videos, are they good for SEO? Bit of a broad question, but basically the answer is yes. Videos can be really good for SEO, but you've got to know how to use them. So what we do, and what you've probably noticed, is every time we make a video like this Ask Ninja video, this is a Facebook Live video, but guess what? It's also going to be a blog post with everything that I say transcribed and listed under the video. Why do we bother with the whole transcription thing? Well, because this is all content. This is relatively good quality content. It's not probably the most eloquently put together content, but it is decent, reasonably decent content. So by getting it transcribed, you're making it crawlable, you put it in a blog post, and then Google's got loads more content to play with, and you've got a chance of ranking for that stuff. So yes, videos can be good, but you've got to make sure that you're using them in the right way. So first up, get them on all the video sites. YouTube is great, but also Dailymotion, PhotoBucket, Metacafe, Vimeo, Vidler, Flickr, Wistia. All these different video sites will allow you to put the video on there, and you can link back to your website from these video sites. So they get you links, which is great, helps your SEO. But also if somebody's searching, for example, YouTube on best garden sheds or child protection level 3 certification, well, if you've got a video about that topic and you've optimized that video's title and description, you've got a chance of showing up for that. And then if you've got a link from that video to your website, happy days, you're going to get that traffic from YouTube that your competitors probably aren't even thinking about. If you optimize the video title and description well enough, you can even get that video ranking on Google as well. So you can just leapfrog all your competitors that are trying to compete for the organic positions and just get a video straight up there. So why not? But you need to get it transcribed, you need to get captions added in order for that content to be readable. A really good place to get captions is rev.com, rev.com. It's where we do all of ours. And basically what you do with Rev is you just upload your video, or if you've got YouTube, you just integrate it with your YouTube page, and you choose the video that you want them to write captions for, and then they just write the captions and give you an SRT file. An SRT file is the name of the caption file, which you can just upload to YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and then it adds those little captions at the bottom. The reason that we do that, rather than actually writing the captions on the video, is because writing the captions on the video is a freaking nightmare. It takes so long. Rev charges $1 per minute of caption video. So if you got a 1 minute video, that's $1. Amazing. For something like this, it'll be probably 30 minutes. So it's going to be $30. Like, probably take a day for me to do this, or for a digital PR ninja who should be doing something much better than this. So yeah, rev.com is a really good resource. And if you've got YouTube, they'll just put the captions straight on. Remember, if you've got any questions about digital marketing or anything content related, stick them in. Someone's got to have a question which is going to stump me. Come on. Who's got a business which they need to promote and they need some ideas to get some links? Come on. Test me. Otherwise I'm going to start singing your song. No? Alright. Well, while people are thinking about that, just talking yesterday about the training course company. So thinking about how we can get them. They're already doing well on Google. They're the most visible in their market, but we want to get them so they're absolutely destroying everyone for any phrase that they want to target. So we're just trying to think about different ways that we could do this. Now, they sell these training courses, and these training courses are all text-based, and we're thinking about some different ways to kind of repurpose that content. No singing, Sarah, there's a time delay. Yeah. Well, I'm going to be singing in a minute if you don't ask me some difficult marketing questions. We're thinking about the text content that's built into these courses, and it kind of raises a bigger question about how you can repurpose content generally. So every business has information, whether you've got training stuff that you send out to people, whether you've got like books or whatever. If you've got a book, right, really good way to get loads and loads of ranking is, here's a book with a bunch of different chapters in. And each different chapter is basically a potential blog post, right? So all you do is you take that chapter, you either just stick it straight away in a blog post, or you rewrite it slightly and put it in a blog post. And what that does is that builds you a massive, massive knowledge base of content, which is really awesome for ranking. And what you'll notice is if you do that, you'll start ranking for a ton of phrases, because this is using keywords and keyword variations, and it's all hopefully reasonably well written. This one's semi well written. I think this was actually properly proofread, unlike the first one, which we got a lot of stick for. Yeah, so if it's reasonably well written, then that's good news as well. All crawlable. If you can put more content on your site than any of your competitors, then you've already got a massive advantage over them. So yeah, just some ways to think about repurposing content. You got any videos, get them transcribed, get them on. If you got any training courses, get them on, or get little chunks, little pieces of them put on your site. Got any books, just rip out sections of the books and stick them on. Just pack it full of as much content as you possibly can. All right. Sarah says, okay, should you make your readers opt in to download a case study from your site, or use the post as content to generate links? What's better, links or leads? Really good question, Sarah. And unfortunately, the answer depends. I would personally use the case studies as content. I'd make them crawlable. I wouldn't put them behind a lead gate. The reason is because they're a selling tool and they're a ranking tool. I would think up something that's a bit more compelling to use as a lead magnet. Now, two reasons for that. Number one, because it's going to be an awesome content tool like we've been talking about. But number two, generally case studies aren't, I think you can come up with a stronger lead magnet, which is going to be getting you more leads than just an ordinary case study. So I'd stick them up as plain content. The other thing I'd think about though is that you can be generating leads without asking for a name and email address. So if you're putting a Google remarketing pixel or a Facebook retargeting pixel on your site, you're going to be capturing those leads anyway, because they're going to be going into your Facebook custom audience or your Google remarketing audience. So you don't even need to get the email address in order to be then following up with people. So yeah, I'd put the case studies on, make them crawlable, pack in as much story around the case studies as you possibly can. So, you know, you can list the questions that client had when they were getting started, because those are the questions that your audience could potentially be asking. You can list everything that you did for them, all the results, get an interview with them as well. If you're local, make sure you've got their location in, so you can get some location keywords in there as well, and just make that as complete as possible. Don't just stick up, you know, results and here's a smiley face and here's what they said. Just make it really, really impactful. And then come up with a lead bait, which is going to be awesome. Right, Chris said that how useful do you find sites like BuzzSumo and Google Analytics for researching content topics? BuzzSumo is really good. Charlie was saying today she doesn't know how we lived without BuzzSumo. As you know, Chris, I'm not the one who does the research, but if I was going to be doing research, I'd definitely be hammering BuzzSumo. So BuzzSumo will tell you what sort of topics are kind of trending in your market, sort of show you the likes and shares that they're getting. So you can either just straight up rewrite those topics in more detail and make them more useful, or you can take a kind of a different angle on them if you like. So definitely really, really good. Google Analytics is pretty interesting because that will show you what sort of content you've got which is doing the best. So that will show you, for example, if you've already got a blog post which is getting a lot of traffic, if you've got a blog post which is one of your top performing landing pages, then you know that that's a topic that people are interested in, so you might want to write some more stuff about that. Or if you've written a basic post which is starting to do well, then you might want to go in and rewrite that and write some more stuff around that. So yeah, Google Analytics is all right. Webmaster Tools as well, see what sort of phrases people are looking for, which you're ranking for. Google Keyword Planner, that can be good as well to see what sort of questions people are asking. Answer the Public, another good tool there. So yeah, probably Answer the Public and BuzzSumo, those would be the top ones. Stacy says, how important is it to have an editorial content calendar, and how far in advance should you plan? Got to be careful here, because the people who are asking the questions know more about this stuff than I do. How important is it to have a content calendar? Well, it's really important because it allows you to plan for events and make sure that you've got stuff timed for when it's actually going to happen. So let's say that we're selling fireworks and we know that November the 5th is fireworks night. As a really obvious example, well, we need to make sure that we've got a content plan leading up to that, so that we have blog posts that are going live beforehand, so that when we've got a particular topic that we want to talk about, that we're doing outreach to publications along those lines as well, so we can get something published the same time as a blog post goes live. So we're doing a lot of work about that. And then obviously once bonfire night is finished, then we want to do some outreach talking about, wow, did you see these amazing firework displays? Because the link building work is never done, right? So even after the big event, then it's time to start smashing some links while people are still thinking about fireworks. So content calendar, really, really important. As you know, we use them for all our clients at Exposure Ninja who we're doing digital PR for. I think we do for everyone anyway, but and they seem to go down well. Sarah says, do you have a book on Google remarketing? No, actually, Sarah, Google remarketing is pretty basic. Basically, what you want to do, you go into Google AdWords and you want to set up, just create a remarketing audience. It'll give you a little pixel which you can add, a little piece of code. You just stick that on your website, on all the pages of your website. And then inside AdWords, you can create an audience based on the pages that they've visited. And then you just upload some banners to target these people. So you can target them for different things. And then wallop, they'll be showing up when people have appeared in your audience. So I say it's basic. There's also kind of much more in depth you can go. So my sister spends about £10 million per month in the Nike store, and the reason that she does that is because she's like obsessed by sportswear, and particularly black sportswear. It's like her thing. So she'll be on the Nike store checking out loads of shoes, and I see when I'm looking on her computer screen, I can see, everywhere she goes, here's the Nike store saying, hey, you've got these in your basket. Hey, you've got these in your basket. And you can just see her going, oh, they might run out, they might sell out, and then bam, and she goes, and then she's gonna go and buy them. So yeah, that's called dynamic remarketing. And you want to email Lizzie at exposureninja.com if you want to get involved with some dynamic remarketing, because it's really good. So yes, go and stalk her. So yeah, I mean, remarketing's really, going back to the people that we're talking to yesterday, they got something like 14,000 impressions for their courses, and they paid, I think, £11 last month for this, right? And this is people who've already been on their website. They've been on a page for a particular course. They haven't bought the course. So it's ridiculously qualified traffic. And because they're so qualified, 14,000 impressions for a qualified visitor to your core product for £11. How would you not do that, right? You'd pay £1,000 for that. It's amazing. So yeah. Hannah says the phrase content is king goes around a lot, but how true is it, and how important is it to integrate SEO into your digital PR strategy? I actually don't really like the phrase. I don't really like the word content. I think it kind of devalues it a little bit. I think it kind of implies just pumping trash out, really. But I can't really think of a better way to describe it. I guess it's information, really. So information is king, definitely. Pretty difficult to rank a website without a lot of good quality content in. So in that sense, it's absolutely crucial. It's the first thing that we look at whenever we're optimizing a site. And how important is it to integrate SEO into your digital PR strategy? Well, it's obviously really important, because every digital PR link you get can either have a really positive impact on your SEO, or it can have little to no impact, depending on how you approach it. So obviously knowing what sort of keywords that you're going to be targeting in your articles means that you can have keyword optimized anchor text. It means that you can be using the sort of keywords and variations in your articles, which are going to get you some... Oh, did I skip a question? Which are going to get you some useful readers and qualified leads to your website. So yeah, super important. Do keyword research first, understand what sort of keywords that you want to target, and then write content around those. I think that's the message. All right, Stacey, chill out. How important is social media for content marketing, and can you recommend any tools to help with scheduling and targeting? Yeah, I think we use Buffer, don't we? We use Buffer to do all our scheduling, and it helps a bit with targeting as well, because Buffer will tell you what times your posts are getting the most engagement, so that you can then go and schedule all of your posts to be at the most engaging times for your audience. That's pretty cool. Nice and easy. It means you don't have to think about it too much. How important is social media for content marketing? We use Twitter a lot for outreach, don't we? And follow the hashtag journo request and hashtag PR request to get some tasty leads that way. So that can be pretty good. We've had some pretty decent success stories as a result of that. And so yeah, it can be really good for journalist outreach, can't it? And also blogger outreach too. We get quite a few inbound requests and stuff that way. So yeah, that can be good. I think social media though, I don't know. For SEO, I'm not sure how useful it is really. We don't tend to recommend it for people if they're like, oh, I just want to increase the ranking of my site. Then generally there's better use of their money than social, but yeah, it can be good for outreach. Cool, guys, I've got to go. I'm supposed to be in a meeting at 4:30 with Charlie and Luke and a bunch of ninjas. So, hope you found this useful. If you haven't yet subscribed on the blog, then on the new podcast, then you've got to do that. So open iTunes, open the podcast app, go and type in Exposure Ninja. Go on, click subscribe. Freaking click to download all of the episodes as well, and make sure you listen to them. We need good listener stats. And then click on the ratings and leave a massive, amazing 5-star review and a big fat smiley rating. And then go to exposureninja.com/giveaway. Once you've subscribed and you've rated, then there's a little button that you click at the bottom. Just stick in your name and email, and you can win an iPad just for rating and reviewing the podcast. So go and do that. And if you've got any questions for Ask Ninja next week, then email them over, tim@exposureninja.com, or just use a hashtag anywhere, Ask Ninja, and I will see you all next week. Love you.